What? It's a comic book. What? It's a comic book! A comic book!
My kids love these things.
I love them too.
Welcome to another episode of Run of the Great Sports Pickup Videos. Today this one's going to be a little bit different because it's not sports related. This is comic book related and technically a movie as well. And I'll jump right into that right away. But I went to a pawn shop recently and they had dollar DVDs, and I might share those pickups with you as well. But I just wanted to point out one for this episode because you're going to see a theme with this. And I picked up Punisher Warzone / Dread on the double feature DVD pack, and this was only $1 for both movies, and both movies are on one disc, so it's not a multi-disc pack, it's just one disc, both of them shoved on the same disc. Now the only thing that I don't like about these double, triple, quattro features is typically they just put the movie on there, so any of that DVD extra Blu-ray stuff that probably came out on the original release is not on there. It's just typically just the movie. So if you're okay with that, this is a nice cheap alternative to watch a movie. But I own every other Punisher DVD but this one. I have the Thomas Jane John Travolta version of the Punisher, and this one's cool because this one comes with a comic book enclosed. So if you're ever somewhere and you're looking through DVDs and you're a comic book collector, I definitely recommend looking for this version of the Punisher because it comes with a complete mini comic book with Thomas Jane on the cover. And as you can see, this isn't in the best shape. It looks like it actually got wet at one point. But this is kind of a mini comic that comes with the DVD. So if you ever see this DVD, definitely try to buy it with the comic enclosed. And as a bonus, there's actually Saw in there too. I don't even realize that was in there. So that's that Punisher. Now of course I have the original from the 90s with Dolph Lundgren and Louis Gossett Jr. Coming out in the 90s. I remember this specifically. My friends and I were big Punisher comic book readers, and I remember a friend of mine telling me about this movie, and I didn't believe him. Like, I didn't believe that it actually came out. Well, obviously I was wrong, and I've always enjoyed this movie. A lot of people don't give this one credit for what it is. You know, they write it off because it's Dolph Lundgren, whatever. But I actually think this is a decent movie. It's pretty decent in my opinion. If I were to rank them, I would put a tie between these two as my favorite, the original and the Thomas Jane version, and this being my third favorite because Warzone's alright, but it's a little more true to the comic book versus the other two. Now, I don't own the John Bernthal Netflix series, however I've been looking to pick that up. So we'll move on from DVDs and go on to the comic books. Alright, so I stopped at a flea market antique mall and I couldn't believe my eyes when I found $1 comics. You know, it's harder and harder to find cheap $1 comics. Nowadays it seems like they're $2, $3 a piece, at least where I'm at. And the majority of them are Punisher comic books with the exception of the first two. The first one is Ghost Rider and Cable, #1. As you can see, there's a $3.95 price tag on that originally back in the 1990s. Somebody covered up the 75-cent tag with a $1 tag. I'm okay with that. I paid $1 for it, not 75 cents. And the next one that is non-Punisher related is trade paperback of Spirits of Venom. And instead of Spirits of Vengeance, which is Ghost Rider related as well, I saw this there for only $1. This originally had a price of $9.95 back in the day, so I thought for only $1, that's definitely worth a read for sure. And now we'll move on to the Punisher comics. So those were in two separate booths, those two Ghost Rider comics, and I found some Punisher comics for just $1 a piece. And this is the Aaron Punisher series, which I don't have a lot of issues from, nor do I have too much knowledge of, to be honest with you, because I don't own them. But this is issues 3 and 5. You know, nothing special about them. But originally these had a cover price of $4.99. I don't own these issues, so for $1 a piece, I grabbed them to try to complete my Punisher collection a little bit better. So that was one booth. And finally, this other booth, which had the Spirits of Venom comic in there, I really went to town and wound up buying 18 different Punisher issues. And I'm probably going to go back because they had almost a complete run, minus issues 1 and 2, I want to say, of Punisher 2099. And I never collected Punisher 2099. There's only, I believe, 39 issues in the entire run. And I just never got into Punisher 2099 all that much. But I picked out issue number 25 because it's issue number 25, and you can see the original price on it was $3. So I thought for $1, that's a deal. But I may go back and I may shoot another video in the near future of me picking up the rest of the 2099s that I needed on my checklist. I, of course, didn't have my checklist with me. To be honest with you, I've really slowed down with my comic book collecting because of the price and the values of them going up. So I literally didn't have my list on me, and I know that's my fault for not having that on me. So I literally had to handwrite every issue that they had in the booth down on a piece of paper so I could come home and check my need list, so to speak. So stay tuned. That may be coming up in the near future. Alright, so this next series was there, and I was very happy to see this, and I own a copy of this already, but the entire run was there. And this is Punisher and Captain America, Blood and Glory. And all 3 of them were there. It's a 3-part miniseries that was released, I want to say in the mid-90s. I can't quite remember what year. But all 3 of the issues are here. You know, very happy to get those for just $1 a piece. Because I remember paying full price for these back when I was a kid, to be honest with you, to have that whole run. So another copy of those. This is another one that I have multiple copies of. But for $1, I just couldn't pass it up. This is a Chuck Dixon book, which is one of my favorite Punisher / Batman writers, and that's Punisher Batman. And I've read this so many times, it's not even funny, and I'm probably going to read it again because it seems like every time I buy a copy, I read it and put it away. But Punisher Batman by Chuck Dixon, and Ramada, and Jansen, who's also a writer of Punisher. Very happy to get that for $1. Not a bad deal. Here's Punisher Warzone annual number 1 for $1. And it is still bagged with the Phalanx card enclosed. I have multiple copies of this. I actually have the entire Punisher Warzone run completely finished. Sorry about the lens cap there. I have the entire Punisher Warzone run complete. I also own it digitally, and I actually read it on my Google Chromebook. So, and for the next one, I actually have annual number 2 for Warzone, and like I said, I own all of those already. So, very happy to have that. So this next one is a 2-part series, trade paperback, and it is Punisher: The Ghost of Innocence, and this is a 2-parter. Book 1 and 2 was there. Again, I read this many years ago. Get that glare off of there. But as you can see on the back, you know, $5.95 originally. You know, $1 a piece for both of them. Couldn't pass that up. This one I wasn't too happy about because it was a little damaged. The person did not care for this one for whatever reason. But this is Punisher: An Eye for an Eye. And this is the trade paperback, I believe, of Punisher War Journal 1 through 3. So the original Punisher War Journal, which I have the complete run for, the original Punisher War Journal I do. This is the trade paperback, and as you can see, that had a cover price of $9.95 back in the day. So just $1, and unfortunately there's some bins up here in the corner, and they stuck the price tag right on it. I mean, gosh, you know, I hate it when people put price tags on the comic. But beggars can't be choosers. I paid $1 for it. Why not? So another trade paperback that I already own and I enjoyed reading, and I'm probably going to read again, is Punisher Invades the Nam. And if you've ever read the Nam comic books from the 90s and the 80s, the Punisher did make some guest appearances in those issues. And this, I believe, is a story arc. I don't know what collected issues these are. I apologize for not knowing that. But I believe this is a story arc, you know, put in trade paperback form. Again, cost $7 back in the day, and I only paid $1 for it. So looking forward to reading that too. Now for the first time, this is an ash can edition that I have never gotten before. So this is a new addition to my Punisher comics, and maybe a viewer can shed some light on this. But this is like that DVD that I showed you, you know, kind of like a bonus insert ash can edition comic book like this, and it was only $1. I've never seen this before. I'm not sure if it came, you know, out of like a wizard or something back in the day, or where that came from. If anybody can shed some light on this, I definitely would appreciate it. But I did not have this in my collection. When I saw it, I'm like, well, I know I don't have that. So I just kind of glanced through it, and it's very, very short. And I'm not really sure, like I said, what this came with, but I knew I had to have it. So, not really sure where that came from. Like I said, if any viewers know anything about this, definitely give me a holler and tell me about it. Alright, so this final part that I was very impressed that they were all there was a mini-series, story arc, whatever you want to call it, that crossed all of the Punisher titles at the time. So the Punisher War Zone, the Punisher War Journal, the Straight Punisher, and what I'm talking about is the countdown for the Punisher's final issues. So Punisher 103, which is the 4, Punisher War Journal number 3, is your countdown, War Journal number 79, War Zone, which is number 2, War Zone number 41, and Punisher 104, which is 1, and Punisher War Journal number 0. Or, I'm sorry, number 80, which is the 0. So I could not believe, because I see these comics all the time, and I know some of them are very highly sought after because they were the end of the series for, you know, these comic titles. And I've never seen them all in one place in a flea market all together. I mean, of course, if you go to a comic shop, you're going to see them there. But to see the entire story arc, you know, for $1 each, I just couldn't pass up that deal. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Kind of a stroll down memory lane with the DVDs here. But very happy to add the final DVD to the collection. Tell me what you think of these Punisher comic books. You know, I've collected Punishers since the mid-90s. I went through a phase of my life that I was trying to collect every single Punisher comic book ever printed. I kind of weighed back on that, and then I rekindled the fire when I saw these in the flea market for just $1 a piece. But like I said, I may go back there and try to track down the 2099 issues that I need, because I know I'm missing a lot of holes in that series, and it's a relatively cheap series to complete. but they're $1 a piece, so I got to decide how involved I want to be with going to track those down. So thanks for taking the time to watch. Look forward to your comments below, and as always, happy collecting.
Look, you can't put the Superman number 77s with the 200s. They haven't even discovered red kryptonite yet. And you can't put the number 98s with the 300s. Lori Lamaris hasn't even been introduced.
Where the hell are you from? Krypton?